So in defending the Spirit Science series, let's take a look at the first guy who's at the head of the pack here, who is supposedly, and I do mean supposedly, debunking Spirit Science. So let's take a look at this guy, see what he's actually saying, see if he's actually debunking anything.
Hi everyone, once again my good friend Zulu Fight Runner has provided me with a bunch of stupid.
Let's see who the stupid person is.
And not just a single video of stupid, this time he has presented me with an entire channel full of stupid. Thanks, Zulu.
What, he gave you a series of your own videos?
The name of the channel is Spirit Science, and with a name like that I hardly need to do anything, do I?
Why would that be? A name like Spirit Science is perfectly normal. The scientific study of the spirit. You either have one or you don't. So just because you believe that you don't doesn't mean that there can't be a science behind it.
Let's have a look at the first video on that channel. Spirit Science 1. Thought.
Have you ever had a moment where you knew exactly what someone else was going to say, about 2 or 3 seconds before they even started talking? We've all had experiences like these, at least a few times, some many more than others. There are even a few people who can kind of tap into this experience quite easily. I believe one of the terms for it is psychic?
Okay, what's your problem there? This phenomenon happens on a daily basis. 2 people get the exact same thought at the exact same time. Is it ESP based, or is it just a common random thought that people just happen to share? Who knows? Do you think this entire video is about ESP or psychics?
Let's say for the sake of discussion that when you think of something, anything, it appears right in front of you. No, not physically, but let's say it appears in a different realm that's in and around all of us. For now, let's just call it the thought realm. When an inventor gets an idea, this idea can quickly spread throughout all of his colleagues and friends. Don't think of thoughts as separate, but as a whole that everyone is latching onto.
Okay, let me see if I get this straight. When an inventor has an idea, he places that idea in front of him on some other plane of existence or whatever. And when other people pick up the idea, it's because they, for lack of a better word, see it. It has nothing to do with the inventor talking about it or anything like that, which would be a much simpler explanation. Have you ever heard of Occam's razor? Just putting it out there.
That's a good idea. Let's use Occam's razor. Are you looking at the whole video and talking about the whole video, or have you edited this video and you're only using the parts of the video that you want to use and put them together in different order so that it appears that this person doesn't know what they're talking about?
In the world of science, what do we really know about thoughts? We know we can measure them. By hooking up scanners, you can measure the frequency that are emitted when you think them. They're measurable, yet there isn't anywhere specific in the brain that holds them. Is it possible that you create your thoughts outside your mind? Maybe not. But is it possible that you create your thoughts into the external world from your mind? This is what we're going to talk about today. Have you ever had a moment where you knew exactly what someone else was going to say, about 2 or 3 seconds before they even started talking? Do you have a shared connection between a loved one or a pet, where you can always tell exactly how the other is feeling, or what they're thinking of, even if they're not really around? Have you ever met someone that you really got bad vibes from, and your intuition turned out right? We've all had experiences like these, at least a few times, some many more than others. There are even a few people who can kind of tap into this experience quite easily. I believe one of the terms for it is psychic? Let's say for the sake of discussion that when you think of something, anything, it appears right in front of you. No, not physically, but let's say it appears in a different realm that's in and around all of us. We'll just assume for now that it's not something that we're consciously aware of, and it's something that we're going to discuss later on. For now, let's just call it the thought realm. When you're doing something, you start by thinking about it. Whether you're building a pool in your backyard or making a sandwich, you have to have thought of it first. Even the subconscious thoughts for things like walking and breathing.
So here's a big chunk that he's missed here. Making a sandwich. Yeah, you had to have thought about making a sandwich before you go and make your sandwich. There's no ESP involved.
This shouldn't be anything new to us. We think of things before we do them, even if it's a split second before them. This is just how we function, and our physical actions match the thoughts that we've created. You might say that you move through your thoughts, turning non-physical ideas into physical actions. When an inventor gets an idea, this idea can quickly spread throughout all of his colleagues and friends. Ideas and thoughts are spreadable. Multiple people can hold on to the same idea at once, allowing them to grow and develop further. In this scenario, don't think of thoughts as separate, but as a whole that everyone is latching onto.
When other people pick up the idea, it's because they, for lack of a better word, see it. It has nothing to do with the inventor talking about it or anything like that.
Of course, because we can't physically see this realm of thoughts, we can't tell exactly what the original idea was, only the interpretation that they describe using functions like speech and body language, as well as our own intuition, which is how thoughts connect to each other.
So if we go look back at the actual video, we do see that you have indeed hacked this video up. The video topic was thought, not ESP. When a person gets an idea, they pass that idea around, and that's what this video is about, not ESP. The word psychic was used like once for about a 10-second period, but now you're going to drag this on forever and ever, aren't you? Everything's going to be psychic related now, isn't it? So using Occam's razor, you've either purposely left this out, or you just don't understand the subject. So which is it? Somehow you think a sandwich is made through ESP. Is that what you get from this video?
So with thoughts connecting with other thoughts comes our first big realization. This new understanding of how intertwined we truly are. Up until recently, humankind has always understood simply that they were connected only through their physical being. The fact is, we're not.
Sure, if by fact you mean unsupported assertion that you pulled straight out of your ass. Facts are demonstrable. How do you suggest we demonstrate this connection?
Think about almost every creature on Earth. What do we really know about the bond that connects them? Geese are able to travel long distances, switching who flies in front like clockwork. Many fish swim in large schools, and we know that they don't have a form of verbal communication.
That's an argument from ignorance. Non-verbal communication does not mean telepathy. There are lots of forms of non-verbal communication.
Okay, so what we have here, he's still talking about ESP. He thinks that Jordan is still talking about ESP, and he's not. He stopped talking about ESP several minutes ago, but this guy is still on the subject. How can that be? Again, he either doesn't understand the topic, or he's just flat out lying and misleading people.
Facts are demonstrable. How do you suggest we demonstrate this connection?
If you were to go back and look at the entire video, you'd see that he's not talking about birds and fish that stay in groups together through ESP.
Of course, because we can't physically see this realm of thoughts, we can't tell exactly what the original idea was, only the interpretation that they describe using functions like speech and body language, as well as our own intuition, which is how thoughts connect to each other. Because of this, we add a bit of our own creation to the mix, our own spice, while still working towards the same common goal. A social gathering is another good example of this at work too. People gathering together because they share the same ideas, thoughts, and emotions as the rest of the people there. An example could be a college course on architecture. People interested in architecture would attend the course because they share the same interest mentally. This shouldn't be anything mind-blowing, it's our day-to-day lives, just from a different perspective. Even if you're using something that someone else made, you're still creating this experience for yourself. You manifested that iPad or house or whatever into your experiences. So with thoughts connecting with other thoughts comes our first big realization. This new understanding of how intertwined we truly are. We are not only connected in the physical realm, but in a mental and spiritual way as well. Up until recently, humankind has always understood simply that they were connected only through their physical being. We assumed that the conscious experience, as well as all of the thinking, was totally 100% isolated from the rest of everyone else. The fact is, we're not. We are so connected with each other, it's almost impossible to believe. Think about almost every creature on Earth. What do we really know about the bond that connects them? Geese are able to travel long distances, switching who flies in front like clockwork. Many fish swim in large schools, and we know that they don't have a form of verbal communication. Our pets are able to communicate with each other without speaking. Yet, it's like they know what each other are feeling and connect in a very amazing personal way. Almost every observable creature on Earth has this connection with at least their own species, if not others. We as humans are the next step in life, but that doesn't mean we don't have this connection. What's to say we're not also connected to each other in this way? We've been out of touch with ourselves for an incredibly long time now, and we are growing increasingly disharmonic.
Occam's razor, buddy.
For example, I'm a martial artist, and I can tell an attack is coming a fraction of a second before it even begins. It's not because I'm psychic, it's because I can read the attacker's body language.
Functions like speech and body language, as well as our own intuition.
It's pretty obvious, especially if the attacker is untrained. How hard do you think it is for a goose to see that the guy in front is getting tired?
Functions like speech and body language, as well as our own intuition.
Body language. A person translates his thoughts into little subtle hints like body language and other things like that.
Do you ever have a morning where you wake up grumpy and stub your toe and think, oh, this is just going to be one of those days, and find that the entire day afterwards just goes terrible? What about the days when you wake up excited and happy and ready to go? Your whole day is just excellent in all of the right ways. The reason these differences in how your day goes is because of your emotional state.
That's a textbook case of post hoc ergo propter hoc. That would be the logical fallacy of assuming that if A happens before B, that means A must have caused B. Causal relationships have to be demonstrated, not just asserted.
No. He's saying that once you start having a bad day, if you wake up late, your alarm clock doesn't go off. Okay, that starts giving you a bad day. Then you're liable to stub your toe after that. And then that just adds to your emotional baggage, doesn't it? That's what he's talking about. And when you start to have a bad day, things just seem to be piling on your shoulders left and right that day, doesn't it? It's not one caused the other. It's that one started a series of events that put this emotional burden on your shoulders that just seems to be getting heavier and heavier and heavier.
The people who are most successful are those who talk most of success. Those who speak most of illness have it. Yes, illness is also a creation of yours.
Say what?
That's not an uncommon thing. People go into the doctor's office all the time thinking they have illnesses, but successful people have a positive outlook when they started things. No one ever grew a successful business thinking, oh, I don't know why I'm bothering with this. No one's ever gonna buy my product, I don't know why I got out of bed. Show me a prosperous business venture that started out with a negative attitude.
Throughout history, we've always played the blame game. It's his fault I didn't get the promotion. It's her fault I couldn't go to the game. It's everyone else's fault I'm so depressed. Whatever it is, and this may be the hardest thing to truly get, it's your fault.
And how do you account for inherited afflictions? Are you telling me that if a kid is born HIV positive, that's his or her own fault?
Did he mention anything like that? No. You just kind of threw that into the mix there, didn't you, on your own? He's not talking about actual viral diseases. A person can actually make themselves sick mentally. Whether you're disgusted by something, a person vomiting, you can let that upset you and you start vomiting yourself, or you either have the mental capacity to get past that and hold your own lunch in. There was one of them judges on, I believe it was X Factor, a female judge, and a guy started stripping on stage. And when he got to the point of exposing his genitals, one of the female judges got physically sick. And now, did the guy's genitals actually physically do something to her? No. She has a mental state that she lets take control, and she makes herself sick.
One common argument I hear is, what about starving kids in Africa? How are they creating their starving reality? I would respond to that the Western way of life is not really allowing for everyone on the planet to live in the same abundance that the Westerners are, is it? We're using up all of the world's resources, hardly sharing anything unless they're paying a lot for it or if we're getting something out of it.
What? Didn't you just say that?
Throughout history, we've always played the blame game. it's your fault.
Dude, stop contradicting yourself. You can't have it both ways.
Stop re-editing his video to make it look like he's contradicting himself. What do you think Jordan is trying to say here? That through positive thinking alone you can do incredible things like have bullets bounce off you or leap tall buildings in a single bound, or that it takes positive thinking before you can get anything done? You're the one throwing in the supposed contradictions in. So there's no need to look at this much more. Really, I don't see the point in it. Jordan said, hey, thoughts are the key to everything. If you have good thoughts about stuff, you can make stuff happen. And if you have bad thoughts about stuff, you're more than likely to fail in life. No one ever was successful thinking negatively. I mean, even this guy himself, he's proven that fact. When he looked at this video, he had a positive outlook and said, hey, look, I'm going to take this video and I'm going to think positively and I'm going to turn it around and I'm going to make, I'm going to get viewers off this and I'm going to get views and hits, and that's all I'm worried about. And he made it happen, didn't he? Well, you just proved spirit science to be actual, didn't you? God, what a moron. I'm through. There's no need to talk about this anymore. This guy is obviously a fan of the work of Desert File, who Desert File is notorious for finding people to pick on. Most of his earlier videos that he built his channel on requires him finding little guys on the YouTube and getting all of his followers going, hey, come on, let's go pick on this guy and laugh at him and make fun of him. It would seem that this guy, who obviously likes Desert File, just wants to have his own version of the same thing. Let's just find people to laugh at, and who cares if their feelings are hurt, and we don't care. Why should I care? I've got a successful channel running and I'm making money. Who cares as long as it works for me, right?